Good morning, children. How are you? Fine? Okay. Any question you do have from our previous topic, you must ask. If you don't have at present, the moment questions come to your mind, you ask. Okay. See, today the topic what we are going to discuss is tensions and conflicts. Okay. And last day, the topic we have discussed consequences of shock therapy. Fine. And in this chapter, children, what we have discussed so far, we begin with the toppling of the Berlin Wall in 1989 by the common people. Then it followed the historic chain of events thereafter. And the collapse of the Second World began with the end of the Cold War. The way Germany was divided, it got unified, and the eight East European countries that were the part of the Soviet bloc, it replaced their communist governments in response to mass demonstration. The Soviet system in detail we have discussed. What was it? We discussed regarding Gorbachev and the disintegration, the role played by Mikhail Gorbachev and Boris Yeltsin. Why did Soviet Union disintegrate? The factors responsible for its disintegration. Then the consequences of disintegration had been discussed by us. Shock therapy in post-communist regime we have discussed, and then their consequences. Fine. Questions are always welcome. Fine. Now come to today's topic, tensions and conflicts. In this, we will be concentrating on the circumstances that had been faced by the countries of Central Asian republics, means the republics, the countries of the former Soviet Union. Okay? And the kind of secessionist movements started there, and what exact were the conditions of the Central Asian republics. Fine, children? See, the conditions of most of the former Soviet republics were not good, in fact, after disintegration. And they were very prone to conflicts. Conflicts were very common, in fact. So, civil wars used to take place and it started once again. The problem of insurgencies were there, and worst had been the involvement of outside powers and their involvement, such involvement by the side of outside powers complicated the entire situation. The entire problem got complicated, in fact, with the involvement of outside powers. In Russia, in particular, two republics, Chechnya and Dagestan. These two, Chechnya and Dagestan, had violent secessionist movements. Okay? And the way Moscow had been dealing with them, means the particular method, the particular methodology of Moscow with the Chechen rebels and indiscriminate military bombings. The moment the government tries to suppress the act of the rebels, some kind of violations of human rights are bound to be there. It will be there, it will happen, in fact. The human right violations would be there. So, human right violations were there, and but these human right violations, despite it, the aspirations for independence, the commitment, the dedication for independence by the side of the Chechen rebels remained intact, in fact. Okay? In Central Asia, Tajikistan saw, Tajikistan witnessed a civil war. Okay? And that civil war continued for 10 years till the year 2002, and you would be surprised if in a country civil war continues as long as 10 years, what would have been their condition? Just imagine, children. And the region, the entire region, in fact, Central Asia, if as a whole we want to see it and we start seeing, we start perceiving, had many sectarian violences. Okay, means the entire region of Central Asia had many sectarian violences, sectarian conflicts. In Azerbaijan, another country, some locals, okay, and they had the locals of Nagorno-Karabakh province. They want to secede from Azerbaijan and to join Armenia. Okay. So, they when they wanted to join Armenia, the government of the country would not like it. They wanted, and their interest would be that better you remain with us. What problem you do have, you let us know. We would give you a solution rather than moving or wishing to go out. Similarly, in Georgia, their demand for independence has come from basically two provinces. And what happened there? In Georgia, as a result, civil war started. And we have been discussing civil war used to be the worst. Means the country goes back on the track of, means country gets derailed from their regular track of development. Economic prosperity go haywire, remains nowhere. Okay. And the similar condition of civil war we found in these two provinces in Georgia. And many movements even took place against the existing regime as far as the countries Ukraine, Kyrgyzstan and Georgia were concerned. Apart from the civil war in Georgia, okay, many other movements against the existing regimes continued. Countries and provinces, they used to fight over several issues, including river waters, how to distribute the river waters. Means for water, they also used to fight. Rivalries were there, and these all entire thing these all had led to instability. And in all, who suffered the most? The common people, the ordinary citizen. Their life became at most difficult. They suffered the most, children. Okay. Now, these Central Asian republics, they had some very positive aspects also. They had merits as well. Okay. So these Central Asian republics, they were rich in hydrocarbon resources, and this availability of hydrocarbon resources brought economic benefits for them, certainly. And how can we forget that this Central Asia became a zone of competition between outside powers and oil companies. Okay, means the outside powers and the oil companies, they came together, and their interests in fact came together, means their interests were similar. So clash was imminent, clash was evident, and so it happened. Okay, so it became a zone of competition, and simultaneously, this region, Central Asia, is very next to Russia, China, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, and very close to West Asia. That's why these countries they also started impacting. Russian impact had already been there, and these nations they also started impacting. And remember the incident of 9/11, what we say, 11th September 2001 incident. Now, the interests of the US, United States of America, as US wanted military bases in the region, okay, and they paid the governments of all Central Asian states to hire bases and to allow airplanes to fly over their territory during the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Fine. And from these nations, these countries, they were in win-win situation. First, they are having the close relationship with America. Doesn't matter, America, their interests in fact lies there. American interest used to be supreme in fact, children, and so was the case here. What we are seeing, fine, and it brought huge economic benefit for these nations as use of the military bases they were being paid, the permission for the US airplanes to fly over their territory, they were getting paid for it. Okay, so somewhere they were coming in close contact with America, what was going to benefit them and benefited them a lot. But another interest clashed here. Russia, the country Russia, always saw, has been seeing, has been perceiving these states as its near abroad. These are the foreign countries for Russia, but very closest to Russia on the basis of its geographical location. That's why Russia believed that they should be under Russian influence rather than influence of any other countries of the world. They must be under Russian influence. Okay. The interests started clashing, obviously. See, you can see here the American interest, you are seeing here the Russian interest and the Chinese interest. What had been the interest of the China? China also started taking interest because of the oil resources, and the Chinese have begun to settle around the borders and conduct trade as China believes in the policy of expansion. Though on paper they are against it, but their real conduct you will find what they must not do. In the recent or the modern context or the modern world, China has been taking such steps, what can never be accepted. And being a neighbor of ours, if any step China would like to take, the country like India is always ready to give them a befitted reply. Okay, so here the interest of the two most powerful and the third one the emerging power, their interest also clashed. Means they all, America on the one hand, Russia on the another hand, and China also, because of the availability of the oil pool. Chinese also started. Chinese took very keen interest in having trade with them. So they began to settle around the border area. Fine, and thereafter they would try to do whatsoever they would wish. Unless their neighbors they object it. Okay, and who else can understand it better than we Indians, children? Now, in the Eastern Europe, see the condition of the Eastern Europe. Czechoslovakia, because of its ethnic identity, there had been ethnic diversity. This split into two. But one thing was that it split peacefully. Okay, here the credit goes to the people, the think tank of Czechoslovakia, of people of Czechs ethnicity and people of Slovaks ethnic identity. So they got separated very peacefully, and in place of Czechoslovakia, one nation, we had the two, Czechs and Slovaks. Independent countries came into existence. But everywhere we don't have such a peaceful split or division, children. In Balkan republics, in the Balkan region, the condition, most severe conflict in fact took place in the Balkan region and Balkan republics of Yugoslavia. Remember, regarding Yugoslavia, the ethnic identity of the people mattered a lot there, and dictators always in fact used to be against the interest of the common people, and if there had been the people of other ethnic identity, they never liked or they hardly allow them to have a peaceful life. So remember, in your previous class you must have discussed the way in Yugoslavia it has been dealt with their ethnic people with ethnic identity who were not more in number, the minorities, ethnic identities, people. Okay, means the people who were less in number were minority there because their ethnic identity was different. Okay, so as a result, here now after 1991, Yugoslavia also got divided into different provinces, and the number of provinces it had, like names like Croatia, Slovenia, and Bosnia, and Herzegovina. All these they declared their independence. Okay, so the Serbs, ethnic Serbs, when they opposed, and a massacre of non-Serbs Bosnians followed. Means Serbs, they opposed it. What did they oppose? They opposed the division. That's why Yugoslavia is getting divided into these different countries. Okay, and the non-Serbs Bosnians, their massacre took place. This I was telling. Okay, and one very very common example in the story regarding the atrocities committed by the armed forces in Yugoslavia, means by the side of the Serbs on the non-Serbs. Fine. And enough examples are there in fact kit. At last, when NATO forces intervened, with the intervention of the NATO, and Yugoslavia has been bombed, targeted, it followed, and thereafter inter-ethnic civil war started. Civil war, as I have been pointing, as I have been telling, that it used to be the worst condition for any nation, because the people, they are fighting amongst themselves, and the moment they start fighting amongst themselves, their economic prosperity, their several sectors of economy, their industries, their planning, their political development, everything would get disturbed, would be at backstage, and in forefront it will be their rivalries, that how to defeat my rival group, the people of my country. Okay, so despite the fact NATO intervened, still inter-ethnic civil war followed, and Yugoslavia paid a heavy price for this inter-ethnic civil war as well. Fine. So this entire region, in fact, of Central Asia, we can say, were prone to tensions and conflicts, as it is evident, as it is clear. But solution lies there. Solution lies with every nation. If two nations are having problem, they are locking their horns. If they are ready to sit together, they will find a solution. They will have to listen to each other rather than allowing their armed forces to take action against each other. If they are sitting together and they are listening with each other, they are bound to get it. Thank you, children. Have a good day.